as I was saying, Joy Taylor, every dog has its day. And since I'm a big dog, I've got 2 days. Okay. So now.
You just called yourself a dog?
Yeah, I'm a dog. Yeah, I'm a big dog, a big one.
Kevin Durant is 6'11", who can pull up from 40. Okay. This brother is on that level. I'm talking about offensively.
Do you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
I'm better than you.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mark Brown. Welcome back to another episode of the Lowdown Podcast. I have another special guest on the show, so I don't want to keep talking too much. I just want to say her name is Jenna Cottrell. She's a sports anchor for WHAM's ABC affiliate station in Rochester, New York, and she's also a Buffalo Bills beat writer for BuffaloPlus.com. I just wanted to say, Jenna, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Mark. I'm excited.
Oh, it's exciting to have you on. And plus, here's the two key words, New York. And I know New York's in bad shape right now. According to the media, New York's not really in good shape right now with the coronavirus. So how are you feeling about that being in Rochester? I'm pretty sure Rochester's probably not hit as hard as New York City, but I'm pretty sure you guys are still under an impending threat, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, New York is not, like you said, in a great spot right now. Obviously, New York City has been hit pretty hard. But I know that, Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York, and a bunch of medical staff, doctors, everyone on the front lines has been working so hard. I'm hoping that, we can get back to normal life soon. And in Rochester, we're really lucky because we have a great medical community here. So just looking forward to better days ahead. And I know, the light at the end of the tunnel will be there someday.
Oh, sure will. Way to have an optimistic mindset, because that's all we can do at this point. We just have to wait and see and just hope for the best. And it just seems like the first responders are doing everything they can, so I applaud every single one of them. I know it's really tough for them, especially being in an unprecedented – I can't speak today – in an unprecedented situation like this. And to see how they're handling it, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine what they're going through at this point.
No, I mean, me either. I know so many people in the medical community and just the long hours that they're putting in. And obviously, like you said, this is unprecedented and it is scary. But, I look at the effort that everyone has and the positive mindset. There is a lot of fear out there, obviously, but I think there's so many little bright spots in the community. And people I know in Rochester have been, doing so many things, whether it be volunteering or, writing messages for workers who work in the medical field, or, even just applauding them when they get off their shift. I just think, it takes circumstances, like this, but it really puts it in perspective, what really does matter in life.
Exactly. And going off of that, so knowing that you're a sports reporter or a sports anchor, as a matter of fact, how are you handling the situation? Because obviously there's not really that much sports to talk about at the moment, but how are you handling everything as time continues to pass? And we're not very certain of what's going to happen next. So how are you guys handling it so far, especially you?
I mean, I know, well, obviously the NFL season, it's the off season right now, but the NFL draft is coming up at the end of April. We've been lucky because we cover the Bills so closely that we're still keeping an eye on the team, whatever free agency moves they make. We've had conference calls with, the Bills general manager, Brandon Beane, as well as their quarterback, Josh Allen. So that's been fun to kind of have a taste of, some sports. But for the most part, our news station has been all hands on deck, kind of working with the news situation, what's going on. And because of that, a lot of our reporters are on the kind of hard news stories of the day. So for us in sports, it's been interesting because we've kind of dipped our toe into telling more of like those bright spots in the community. I'm working on a story right now about a woman and her mother who have been, making masks, homemade masks for people in the medical field, just little things like that I think mean a lot. But, it's been interesting not having sports and, how swiftly everything got canceled, and it's understandable why. But, I hope there's an NFL season. Obviously that's in the fall, but it's been nice to at least talk about football and get ready for the draft that's at the end of the month.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because I know the draft's still happening, but it's going to happen virtually. This is something we've never seen before, because usually it'll be in Las Vegas or New York, somewhere fancy where there's a lot of people in the crowd. Obviously, the first-round picks are going to be there with their families and stuff like that, their friends and coaches. So this is going to be a little bit different. So everything's going to be from at home, obviously. So how are you guys prepping for that? Because obviously you cover the Buffalo Bills, so how are you guys prepping for these possible prospects that are coming in?
I mean, this has obviously never happened before, so it's kind of a learning curve for everyone involved. Now, here's the thing. The Bills traded away their first-round pick when they packaged up a deal for Stephon Diggs to have him traded from the Minnesota Vikings. So the Bills technically don't have a first-round pick, but they have 7 picks in the NFL draft, and I think their general manager, Brandon Beane, I don't know, the way the Bills roster is set up, there is a lot of talent on Buffalo's team, and who's to say that all 7 picks even make the Bills roster? So I really wouldn't be all that shocked if Beane were to package a deal and try and get back into the first round. But it was funny, Brandon Beane was talking on a conference call just a couple days ago about and at this point we weren't sure that it was going to be a virtual draft, but he was saying that he has the cable guy working on his Wi-Fi at his house just in case. And now the fact that every member of the staff and like the scouting personnel, all that will be in their own prospective homes. It's just it's crazy to think of. And for us, we would usually get so I've been able and fortunate to go to the draft the last couple of years, and usually it's such a event. There's so many fans there, there's so many media members there, obviously a lot of the picks are there, their family members, their coaches. It's like it's a party. Last year was in Nashville, the year before that was down in Texas where you guys are near where you guys are, but yeah, this year it's going to be a lot of conference calls, a lot of Zoom. I wish I bought stock in Zoom a couple weeks ago, but right? I think there's going to be a lot of FaceTiming with the reporters, getting to know whoever the Bills do end up picking, whether that be in the first round of the days after that.
I mean, that must be, I would say, an exciting process. I mean, to use Zoom, talking to some of the players, it might feel awkward at the same time because you're not really face to face, if you know what I mean. So it's like when you see that, and then knowing that, I also want to bring this up because obviously you guys picked up Stephon Diggs, so that's going to be a huge plus for them because the Bills, not only did they go to the playoffs this past season, but now with the addition of Stephon Diggs and then Josh Allen returning. Josh Allen's an amazing quarterback, especially during he's in his younger years right now. He's a little bit younger than Deshaun Watson, as a matter of fact. So to see these two guys, just playing under the same coach, playing with the same jersey on, I mean, that's mean. And then obviously Stephon Diggs is moving into the AFC now, no longer the NFC. So now he's joined the dark side, I would say. And just to see that, I mean, I say the dark side in the bright light because I'm a Broncos fan. So, yeah, the AFC.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome to the dark side. There you
AFC.
Go. And plus, red is also red is darker than blue, obviously. So I'm just going to go call that the dark side. But there you go. There you go. But, like, how did it feel knowing that since you covered the Bills, like, there must have been a lot of commotion going on after Stephon Diggs. Like, in general, just the NFL free agency just a few weeks back, which is incredible. And to see Stephon Diggs get picked up by the Bills, I didn't see it coming. I thought he would go somewhere else. I didn't see it coming. So, like, just walk us through that process right now, like whenever you heard about it and when you had to cover it.
Well, it was funny because, free agency started and then, it was just waiting for the Bills to make a move. You're like, okay, I think they're going to make a move. Now, knowing Brandon Beane, he's been with the team now for a couple years, he really likes to build through the draft. He's the type of guy, he'll even say it himself, that he is one to, all right, he'll go after a couple positions of need at free agency, pick up some veterans. But for the most part, they want to build through the draft because it's cheaper a lot of times. You can get talent, you can develop that talent, then you can re-sign that talent. And that's what he wants to do. So we were waiting in the night, and then I can't remember if it was like 8 o'clock or after, but I started seeing some reports, and I have a source who was telling me, I was like, oh my gosh, like, Stephon Diggs is a bona fide number 1 wide receiver. He's had so much experience in the league, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He's the type of playmaker that the Bills haven't had on their roster in a very long time. And I think, this is going to be the 3rd year of Josh Allen as the Bills starting quarterback. You want to see what you have in this guy because let's be real, like you want to maximize that window of his rookie contract before you really have to pay him. And also you want to find out if you do really have to pay him, is Josh Allen going to be the answer in Buffalo? So bringing in a guy like Stephon Diggs, just his talent, his route running ability, I mean, his physicality, some of the catches he makes, it's like you can tell that this Bills team is really trying to buy in and say, hey, we have talent. This is not the same old Bills. We're trying to go after something. So seeing a guy like Diggs be on the team, and the fact that he wanted to come to the team, I know he was traded, but seeing how excited he is, a couple of years ago, the Bills were a laughing stock within the league. Nobody wanted to go to Buffalo. But to see how excited Diggs is to come to Western New York, I think that also was just a change of pace and just a breath of fresh air. And I think, this Bills regime with head coach Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, they have a lot of stability in terms of their offensive coordinator and Brian Dable and their defensive coordinator and Leslie Frazier. Like, there's a lot building in Buffalo. And to see a guy like Diggs who has that, national persona be excited, I think that's also another huge step for this Bills team. So I'm excited to see where that ends up this season. But at the same time, this puts so much pressure on Josh Allen. So I'm curious to see how he balances that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of pressure, I remember seeing an article earlier today. It was off the Bills Wire, and I noticed that the headline was that they tabbed the Bills Stephon Diggs trade among one of the worst trades. They were comparing it to the Texans when they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins in exchange for David Johnson and additionally Randall Cobb. So I don't know I don't know what they were trying to prove.
I saw that, and I was head scratching to me. Like, Bill O'Brien gave away DeAndre Hopkins for basically a ham sandwich. Now, I get it. Like, the Bills did package a bunch of picks, including a first-round one, to get a guy like Diggs. But at the same point, I think in comparison, it looks like they gave up a lot to get Diggs. But I think also, how can you compare that deal for Hopkins when he basically was given away for really nothing? So is it more than the Bills are used to giving away? Definitely. But just because that's the case, I don't think that makes it a bad move. I think if you really want a guy and you want a guy like that, you're going to have to give up a lot unless you're dealing with Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's another thing. See, being down in Texas, like the majority, I would say 85% of Texans are Cowboys fans, and I would say the last 15% are Texans fans. And I'm not trying to sound biased or anything, but it just seems that way. The only Texans fans you see are really in the Houston area. That's about it. And you go anywhere else in Texas, it's Cowboys. So it's like,
well, the Bills were in Dallas this past year, and I can see why. That stadium is incredible.
Oh, it's
and I know obviously the brand of the Cowboys is huge, so I can see why so many Texans are drawn to a team like that.
Yeah, and to see, like, that's the thing about Bill O'Brien. I feel like this guy just shot himself in the foot. I mean, just about every analyst you can think of is saying the same thing. So, I don't know. And then just, I'm pretty sure you heard the news recently, shortly after that move. He tried to – basically, there was, like, rumors saying that Bill O'Brien tried to compare DeAndre Hopkins to Aaron Hernandez. I'm like, you comparing this guy to a murderer? Come on now. Like, I don't know where that was coming from. So, I mean, I feel like there's a lot more to it than what we think. I mean, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, especially, like, in the locker room, stuff like that. I mean, there's more to it. I mean, remember Michael Irvin was talking about it on Get Up, and he said he spoke to DeAndre Hopkins. So this could be – I mean, that created a lot of negativity coming from Bill O'Brien, but we'll see. I mean, Deshaun Watson still seems optimistic about the season, and he seems like – I mean, obviously it's going to be a tough blow from losing, like, one of the top receivers. I mean, he's arguably one of the best receivers in the league, DeAndre Hopkins. So to see that happen, it's like, people are thinking, what is this guy? I mean, does he have CTE? Or, people are making jokes. So it's like but besides that, going back to what you're doing and what you're covering, so obviously you're covering the Bills, so you got some content coming up for the next few weeks or so, actually for a while. I mean, knowing that the draft is almost here, it's just a few weeks away. And so have there been times, because knowing that you're a sports reporter, like, have there been times, especially during your shows, during your sports block, have there been times where you guys had to cut the block a little bit shorter than usual due to what's going on with all these cancellations?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely. There's times where, President Donald Trump will be cutting in with, his announcement for the day or things like that. And obviously sports is such a fluid situation right now that, news is what really matters, especially right now. So, there's times where they don't have enough time for sports, but that's why, you can get your sports so many different ways. It's not always just from the 6 o'clock broadcast. So that's why we have a place like BuffaloPlus.com, which is literally all about the Buffalo Bills. And it dips into, other teams within the AFC East, Patriots, whether it be the Jets, Miami, or even just in general football. But yeah, I mean, I understand completely why so many, news producers are wanting to make sure there's a bunch of news within the show with everything going on. But, I also love Twitter for like learning sports stuff as well. So, I think people get their media from a variety of different ways, and just because it's not on the broadcast or over the television, I think it just makes it that much more important to have a different way to reach out to viewers.
So, and just going off of that, so has there ever been an occasion where you had to cover news, say you or the sports director or maybe the other sports reporters?
I mean, yeah, I mentioned kind of earlier, I've kind of dipped my toe into doing some stories that aren't traditional news or aren't traditional, sports. But it's what the time calls, and our news reporters are working so hard right now. So the fact that we can give them a little bit of a break, I think, is huge. And, I don't mind. Like, I got into the industry because I love sports, but it's because I love meeting new people and talking to new people and just kind of hearing their stories and getting to be able to tell their stories. So I think, regardless of sports or just news in general, especially now, like, people want a platform, and there's a lot of important things that need to be reported on. So if I can do that, then, then absolutely. Or if my workers can do that, that's absolutely what we're going to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I know this is a little bit off topic, but it's obviously it's still about you, but it's like just a little different subject. So for those that don't know who Jenna Cottrell is, besides what we've heard so far, if you were to go to her Twitter page, it's at Jenna Cottrell, spelled Cottrell, and Jenna spelled Jenna, all together, just at Jenna Cottrell. So if you were to go to her page, you'll see that her header, it shows her at a Buffalo Bills game, as a matter of fact, and it shows her basically tripping over Tre'Davious White in the, I would say, is that the end zone?
He ran into me.
Well, that's what I meant. So he ran into her, and she just, obviously Jenna was just doing her job. And you always, it's pretty, you hear it every now and then of a photographer or a reporter that's in the end zone or on the sidelines where, they're so focused on getting, the perfect shot, and then next thing you know, boom, it's like life hits you at that moment.
Oh,
so
the speed of an NFL game, I don't think you see it on TV, but it's not the same. The speed of the NFL moves so incredibly fast. And the way New Era Field is set up for the Bills play, the sidelines are very narrow. So there's a lot of media members all packed in, especially on the end zone. And obviously everyone wants a great shot. So I was screened by the ref. It was the Bills were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Jameis Winston dropped back. He threw a touchdown pass to Mike Evans, who was diving when he made the catch for the touchdown. He's a big dude, so when he's diving at you full speed, it kind of comes up on you quick.
man.
So I was knocked over. But yeah, I was super embarrassed. And then I realized I was fine. I didn't get injured or anything. Managed to somehow not drop the thousands of dollars for the camera, which that was great. But yeah, it happens so fast though. I can't even express how fast they move. So I wouldn't recommend doing that though.
Oh man. Was that this past season or was it previous?
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty cool. I would have that as my header too. If
Oh no, was it 3 years ago? I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. I think it was 3 years ago now.
Either way, it was still pretty recent, I would say. But unless it's maybe it's a trick. I'm just playing. But if you were to really think about that, there's been so many stories I've heard of just sports reporters having, like you said, the game speed is. Yeah, you're right. It is incredible how fast they move. And then I've been to a few Texans games. Several Texans games growing up and then I went to a lot of college football games too. And then you're right about that. Obviously there's a huge difference between NFL games and college football games. It's no comparison at all. It's like comparing a varsity, and not even varsity, really some schools around the country, it's like comparing a JV football team to a Division I football team, a Power 5 school.
Yeah.
That's what I see the NFL, that's what I feel like the NFL is compared to Division I programs. It's a huge difference, not even close.
Yeah, it's definitely, these are the best athletes, in the country playing at, and they have everything, all these training facilities, they have, people watching over their diet, they're maintained to be in peak physical condition. So it's incredible. Some of the speed that you'll see, or just, it's incredible to see just how fast people can move, how athletic some of these guys are, and just the way the sport is played. That's why, one of the reasons why I love the NFL is just because of the physicality and because of the athletes that you're getting able to watch on a, weekend basis.
So would you say that's your favorite sport to watch is the NFL, or do you have anything else in mind?
I really love the NFL. I love the NBA. I love the NHL. I love watching golf. I'm not a huge baseball fan. I enjoy baseball if I'm actually at the park, but unless it's October, it's kind of hard for me to watch, a full baseball game. and the season's very long. So
That's true. That is true.
There's times where I'm just like, I can't get into a June baseball game. But even that, I mean, if it's some great players or if it's a great rivalry, you know, I grew up in New York. I'm a Yankees fan. If they're playing Boston or something like that, definitely I'll check it out. But for the most part, I do love football just because I love the fanfare. I just love, you know, it's a huge part of my job too, but it's just, I mean, in America, it's the pinnacle sport, and getting and being able to cover it is just so much fun too.
Exactly. See, that's the spirit. It's about time somebody said football is king. It is king. I agree. That's my favorite sport to watch too. But don't get me wrong, I love the NBA too, and then I also like watching track and field. And sometimes, you know, I'll watch baseball here and there. Especially, I'll kind of wait. I mean, I like to look at highlights throughout the summertime, and then whenever it goes down to like the towards the end of the regular season into the playoffs, I'll watch that like kind of religiously in a way. And it's like, when you mentioned the Yankees, that's pretty funny because, like, in Texas, like, oh, man, especially the Astros, they can't stand the Yankees. I'm not a Nationals fan either. I'm not a Nationals fan. But, like, it's funny, like, if Astros fans were to listen to this, like, oh, they're a Yankee fan. Oh, here we go. You know, it's pretty funny. But I know you're on a time crunch, as a matter of fact. So do you have any, like, additional information you'd like to add just in case, if we left anything out?
No, I mean, yeah, you can check out my work on Twitter as well as on Buffalo Plus. I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I just want to say the same thing. It was a lot of fun having you on the show, and then hopefully I can have you on multiple times in the near future.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you, Mark.